well, and that relates to the independent MP for Blackpool South, Scott Benton. He was previously a Conservative MP. He was given a recommended 35-day suspension after the April last year sting that emerged after the Times sting suggested he was willing to breach rules in return for payment. The recommendation from the independent panel was that he'd have a 35-day suspension, and his appeal to that has been declined. That means, of course, now he could face a recall petition and therefore another potential by-election for the government to face. Let's bring in Sam Coates for reaction to this. Sam, was this expected? And either way, it leads to another potential by-election depending on the results of a recall petition.
That's right, Wilf. More bad news for Rishi Sunak. A rather sordid affair, I have to say, in Parliament, resulting in an independent panel upholding the judgment of the Parliamentary Commissioner Standards that Scott Benton, the Blackpool South MP, has been found to have breached the rules governing MPs after effectively a sting by The Times. The Times' Billy Kember was behind this story in April last year. Effectively, what they did was filmed Scott Benton telling an undercover reporter, and that undercover reporter was posing as a gambling industry investor, that he, Scott Benton, could lobby ministers and leak confidential papers in return for payment. He apparently offered to table parliamentary questions and provide behind-the-scenes information, according to The Times, and call in favours from colleagues to help the commercial interests of a fake company, despite all of that, of course, being banned under the rules. The Parliamentary Commissioner found that he'd done wrong, and today the independent panel, which reviews effectively, they can appeal to, MPs can appeal to for their judgments, found that the original investigation was right. So what happens next? As you say, there are no avenues left for Scott Benton, so there will now be a recall petition in Blackpool South. If 10% of the electorate in Blackpool South vote that he should be recalled, then there will be a by-election. Now, Rishi Sunak has not had a good time recently in by-elections. They've fallen pretty consistently to the Labour Party. We saw that just last week with a couple of by-elections. And this one has an even smaller majority. Scott Benton's majority was about 3,690. He did win just shy of 50% of the vote, but that majority not big at all. And given the swings that we've seen in recent by-elections, you could imagine a situation where that seat might fall to the Labour Party. The Labour Party have been out and about. Jonathan Ashworth already saying, talking up Labour's Chris Webb, who's the candidate in that seat. So another headache. Given the timescale, Wilf, it's worth saying that it takes a number of weeks to do a recall petition. I wouldn't be surprised if all of this, if this by-election gets wrapped into the local elections in early May, rather than being another standalone by-election date like we had last week, like we've got next week with Rochdale. It could all become part of the May elections, but nevertheless, it is not the news that Rishi Sunak would have wanted to hear today.